beautiful home was reduced to ashes on a cold October night in 1995. 2 children were trapped inside, their lives lost in the inferno. Standing outside, warm and wrapped in her jacket, seemingly untouched by the horror, was their mother, Deborah Green. Sometimes the most terrifying monsters aren't strangers lurking in the dark. They're the ones closest to us, sharing our dinner table, living under the same roof, standing in the same grocery lines, riding the same elevators. They can be those familiar faces we often say hello to, though we don't really know their names. Welcome to Timeless Mysteries. Please like and subscribe. Today we discuss another tragic story. We will explore the devastating unraveling of a family and a betrayal that lit the match that would eventually destroy everything in its path. The 911 call from Deborah Green's residence on the night of the fire was placed at 12:21 a.m. on October 24th, 1995. Emergency responders arrived at the scene 6 minutes later, finding the house already fully engulfed in flames. Of Deborah's 3 children, Timothy, 13, Kate, 10, and Kelly, age 6. Only Kelly made it out alive. The fire department immediately suspected foul play, but they needed more than a gut feeling to cast blame on a respected doctor whose home had just burned to the ground with her family inside. But as investigators sifted through the debris and dug deeper into the ashes over the next few hours, troubling inconsistencies began to surface. Slowly, the narrative shifted. The trusted physician found herself at the center of an investigation that would soon be confirmed as a deliberate act of arson and murder. To understand this tragedy, we need to examine the years leading up to the fire. Deborah Green was once a practicing emergency room physician at a Jewish hospital in Cincinnati, Ohio, but by 1992 she had grown disillusioned with her medical career and decided to leave the workforce entirely, focusing on raising her 3 children in Prairie Village, Kansas. For nearly 3 years, Deborah wasn't working, which left the family financially dependent on her husband, Michael Farrar, a cardiologist. This shift from an accomplished career to domestic life seemed to amplify underlying issues in Deborah's mental state. By the mid-90s, she was drinking heavily and exhibiting increasingly erratic behavior. Neighbors would later recall that Deborah had violent outbursts at home, leaving those around her unnerved. During the summer of 1995, tensions between Deborah and Michael reached a boiling point. Michael's affair with another woman, Margaret Hacker, confirmed Deborah's worst fears, driving her deeper into paranoia and emotional instability. At the same time, Michael began experiencing unexplained health problems, including persistent illnesses and severe weakness. By the fall of 1995, Michael had filed for divorce and moved out. But even with the separation, the emotional turmoil continued to escalate. On the evening of October 23, 1995, just hours before the fire, Michael and Deborah had one final toxic argument over the phone. Was that phone call the tipping point for Deborah? Investigators determined that the fire had multiple points of origin within the house, which ruled out an accidental cause. Additionally, there were signs of the use of an accelerant, including ghost patterns consistent with liquid being poured to spread the fire. These patterns were found in the entryway and on the staircase leading to the second floor, as well as in the master bedroom. Everything pointed to 2 things: deliberate ignition and Deborah. Experts later testified that this fire was intentionally set. Investigators also testified on the suspicious behavior from Deborah in the aftermath. Witnesses described her as unusually calm, in stark contrast to her daughter Kate's hysteria. It wasn't until months later that the truth came to light of Michael Farrar's illnesses. A new investigation, separate from the fire investigation, uncovered that Deborah had been poisoning her estranged husband for several months with a deadly toxin that she had extracted herself from castor beans. She poisoned him with ricin. Castor beans are a common ornamental plant. Evidence suggests that she researched methods to produce the toxin, carefully grinding the beans into powder and adding it to Michael's food and drinks. It's not entirely clear how long this had gone on. Ricin is notoriously difficult to trace, which allowed Deborah to continue poisoning Michael undetected, even as he underwent multiple surgeries and treatment to address these mysterious symptoms. A clerk at the Earl May store in Olathe, Kansas, testified and identified Deborah as the person who purchased these castor beans. Investigators never confirmed whether Deborah had deliberately left Kate a way to escape, but some speculate that Kate might have been spared. Others argue that Kate stumbled out to safety by chance. Michael Farrar had spent the night of the fire at a friend's house. He later told investigators that he felt something was dangerously off that night, but he couldn't have imagined the horror that would unfold just hours later. This case forces us to confront some unsettling truths. How does a successful doctor and mother spiral into a darkness so profound that she becomes capable of murder? Were there warning signs that could have prevented this tragedy? The tragic irony of stories like Deborah Green's is that too often the danger isn't recognized until it's too late. How do we know when someone we love is heading towards the unthinkable? How do we differentiate between fleeting emotional struggles and the bright red warning signs of a deeper psychological turmoil? The truth is, recognizing these signs can be difficult. People like Deborah Green don't fit the typical mold of what we think of as monsters. They blend into everyday life, intelligent, successful, even charming. But those closest to her notice the subtle shifts, outbursts of rage, paranoia, and obsessive behaviors. These were the signals that something was deeply wrong, but the people around her didn't realize how far it would go. Stories like this challenge us to be more attuned to the people in our lives. Are we really seeing them as they are? Are we just seeing what we want to see? Or are we seeing what we are made to see? When we do sense something is wrong, are we willing to intervene even when it's uncomfortable? The cost of ignoring these signs can be catastrophic. Perhaps the lesson in this tragedy is that paying attention to those warning signs, however subtle, might just be the key to saving the life of someone we love. On November 22nd, 1995, Deborah Green was arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder, attempted murder, and arson. Michael Farrar continued working as a cardiologist and lived a relatively quiet life until his death on August 23, 2023, at the age of 68. Deborah Green is currently serving her life sentence at the Topeka Correctional Facility in Kansas, with the possibility of parole in 2035. Kate has kept her personal life private, but she reportedly lives in Kansas City, Missouri. She has expressed complicated emotions about her mother and continues to support her to some extent, believing in Deborah's claims of innocence despite the tragic events that unfolded when she was just 10 years old. You won't want to miss my next video. Have the police already captured the Long Island killer? Investigators believe the monster might still be out there, hiding, waiting, improving his methods. I have answers you won't hear anywhere else. I know it's easy to believe such evil can never touch our own lives, but let me ask you something. What if it already has? As always, stay kind, stay vigilant, and always question the truth. Hope to see you in the next video.